Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever struggled with emotions out of control, whether anxiety, anger, jealousy, guilt, or depression, then do we have the show for you. Today we'll be talking with His Holiness, the Dzogchen Ponlop Rinpoche, the seventh in the lineage of the Dzogchen Ponlop, a bridge between East and West, a gen-xer who loves music, photography, art, and technology. He's also the best-selling author of numerous books, including one of my new favorites, The Rebel Buddha, and his latest, Emotional Rescue, How to Work with Your Emotions to Transform Hurt and Confusion into Energy That Empowers You. So today we'll talk about an emotional rescue, or how to observe and transform your emotions from poison to medicine and help you transform and free yourself by learning to work with your emotions. That plus we'll talk about surge protectors and temper tantrums, poisonous pet snakes, why thoughts are like the boogeyman, what to do if your girlfriend or boyfriend takes your comic book collection, and who would win in the Terminator versus Dr. Doom. So welcome to the show, Rinpoche. Are you ready to shine?
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. Before we dive right into things, I've got the strangest question. Do you still have your dad's gun collection?
No, I don't. I gave them all away in my 20s.
Yeah?
When I decided that, I need to work with my emotions more than the guns.
Yeah, that can make some sense.
Yes. But I still love guns, and I have this sentimental value as being an Eastern Tibetan compass. But I don't own any.
So your dad, can you explain to us what a kampa is, and what a little bit of the culture is that you grew up in then?
Yes, my dad's from the eastern part of Tibet, where they have a very strong warrior culture.
Yeah.
And we read a lot of warrior stories, and we work with a lot of these techniques in the stories, in a more metaphorically, most of the time, for working with your mind to be more heroic, more stronger, to overcome different challenges in life. But then at the same time, sometimes they use it in the wrong way. And so I grew up in that kind of Eastern Tibetan, Kampa influence, a little bit from my dad.
And if I understand, it's a kampa is always fearless and courageous, yet kind.
Yes, that's what we would like to think so.
And human, so there again.
Right.
So if we go back into a time machine, because I want to understand a little bit of your history. Can you explain to me about a little bit briefly about your lineage and how you were found or discovered, if that's the right term, and what that means?
Yes, actually, in Tibet, we have this tradition of nurturing some young lamas, to become the teacher of each institution. And so I was chosen to be one of the younger lamas, which we actually have this tradition of recognizing the reincarnations, or the rebirths of someone. And in my opinion, we're all reincarnations of someone.
That makes sense.
Regardless of we're recognized or not. As long as, you believe in reincarnation, it's the same thing. And so I was recognized as long as I remember, very young age. But I was told by my parents that I was recognized before I was born. My master told them that I will be born and blah, blah, blah. And so it's been too long.
So then you grow up, I think you started studying Buddhism at 12, if I'm correct?
No, I started studying since I could even ever remember, 6 years old.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Was there pressure on you at the time?
At times, yes, a lot of pressure. Yeah. Yeah, usually there's a lot of pressure to perform, better than others, so to speak. Uh, but I was lucky enough that um, I can do pretty good in academics,
Yeah.
and so it was pretty okay.
Was that this is kind of, it's a cool, you've done a cool balancing act. So on the one hand you're diving deep into meditation, I imagine. On the other hand you're diving deep into your studies. And
Hmm.
that kind of leads us, that kind of jumps way ahead. I want to stay a little bit more in the story, but you were really trying to figure out how to work with your emotions, I imagine, at the time to be able to balance things.
That's right. As I was growing up at the beginning, there's a lot of practice, so to speak, meditation kind of thing, contemplative practices at a very young age. But then in the middle, it's all studies. It's all academic studies, philosophy, psychology, epistemology, history, what have you. And then, and then at some point, then there's more meditation comes in.
So drop everything that you've learned and let it go.
It's really it's really interesting. You learn a lot, and then you learn how to unlearn. You know, and yeah, I was around 18. When I had a lot of emotions, just like anybody. I was going through a lot of challenges in life, and I was still at the college and studying
Was
Buddhism.
that Columbia you were at?
Oh no, in India.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was in India in a monastic college.
Yeah.
And so at that time, I met my teacher, a friend who has been extremely helpful, showing me the way how I can actually transform hurt and confusion into something more positive.
Do you remember what one of the early lessons was that you learned?
Um, Basically, trying to work with my own mind, understanding my mind, rather than focusing on the objects of my anger or what have you. That was one of the first thing I realized. But he didn't really give lessons, so to speak. He was such a kind and a really skillful master that he just hang out with me and you know just chat.
I like it.
Yeah.
How did you end up becoming kind of a bridge? I'm not sure if you call yourself that, but a bridge between East and West.
Yeah, that's what people say. That's because I was born in India and I was raised in India and I came over here, and now I live here in the States for a long time, and I learned the culture here and the tradition since I live here, and I have mortgage and I have depression and everything. And so I guess I'm the perfect example of carrying both in that way.
So are you saying when you sign your mortgage, you've signed a depression?
Sometimes, yeah, some days, yeah.
This is my official depression document. I own both.
At the end, I think we don't own anything. Somebody else owns, yeah.
That's true. So last thing before we jump into the book, I know you're into art and culture and your own photography, and I believe you're strongly into preserving Tibetan culture as well.
Yes, I'm into preserving some of the educational and art culture of Tibet. For example, there's a lot of our old texts and manuscripts are disappearing. And so I have been trying to preserve them through digitizing, like scanning and basically inputting them and bringing them into a little bit more useful modern technology so that you can search the text and researchers can use it and scholars can use it and translators can use it and things like that, as well as preserving some of the beautiful paintings skills. And the painting skills are actually it's quite at the point of losing the skill, because a lot of younger generation don't want to learn that. It's a lot of work, and then you can't really make a good living.
Have you
Like
helped
all the artists.
Yeah, starving artist, starving Tibetan artist, starting Soho artist. Going from there, I think a really important question that we all want to know the answer to is, are thoughts really like the boogeyman?
I think yes, they are. I would say yes, they are, because um, because usually, we think of all these different things that can go wrong, or we can think of all these different things that has, that like we label as something negative or something really painful, and we hang on to them. For example, like we label so much on our physical pain sometimes, like smallest thing is like getting a headache. And when you really experience the thing, whatever we're labeling on with our thoughts, when you really experience that, it's different from how you imagined it. It's like thinking about going to dentist's office. And thinking about it is worse than actually being there. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's almost like taking a layer, like pain is a postage stamp, but then every thought that you have is another stamp put on top of a stamp, put on top of a stamp, till you have an Empire State Building worth of emotion, and that pain was just the one stamp.
That's correct. I think that's the perfect analogy. Yes, it's just like that. So at the end, you don't see the original stamp, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
So going from there, you have a beautiful quote early in the book. You said, I recognized when we're present in our life, we have an opportunity to discover who we are with all our confusions and suffering, and who we are beyond that confusion and pain. Can you share what that means, beyond confusion and pain?
We usually put so much, conceptual labeling on who we are. And not only that, we try to become somebody else. When you look at a magazine, or when you look at a poster or something, and you want to look exactly like that person, or what have you, or similar to that. And so we always are thinking about becoming somebody else, or we are so and so and so forth. But actually who we really are in reality is, we are a totally free, and we are totally a kind person and free person, and totally beyond all these concepts of who we think we are. And who we think we are is actually like those stamps of Empire State Building that you were talking about earlier.
So this is a big question, but I've got to ask. This is huge. Who are we?
Who are we?
Yeah.
We are fully awakened in our original state of our mind. We are free from all our confusions that we experience in our everyday life. We are actually in the state where there's a total sense of awareness and joy, which we need to connect with more often. Because our habitual thoughts are, I don't know how to say it, our thoughts are habituated, thoughts are habituated in connecting with negative things often. And we never connect with the positive things that often.
It's like watching the news. When you watch the news, you can see a story pop up. A hurricane came through someplace, and two people were killed, but they don't mention the 250,000 other people who thankfully survived completely all right.
Exactly. I've seen this recent studies from one university that our negative thinking, to change from negative thinking to positive, even if you find the fact is not negative, the fact is positive. To change from negative thinking to positive takes so much longer than changing from positive thinking to negative, And so therefore, who we are in reality, is really positive. It's really positive and a lot of potential and quality there that are really positive, but we don't connect with that. We usually connect with the negative side, and that's what we call habitual pattern.
So to move past habitual pattern, you say medicine if taking, that our emotions are medicine if taken with knowledge, poison if abused. So what is the 3-step emotional rescue plan to help us? I'm picturing us handcuffed to the bed of negativity, and we've got to cut the cuffs off.
That's right. You have really nice images
Thank you.
in your examples. I love them. 3-step process that I use, and that I've benefited from is first, creating this sense of a little space between yourself and emotion. Because when the emotions come up, we usually kind of like become one, one with that emotion. And we cannot
I am the anger.
Yes, I am the anger, and the anger is me. And so we say, I'm an anger, I'm an angry person, or I'm a passionate person, or what have you. And so we kind of like mix together and become very confused. And so the first step here, I suggest, is the mindful gap, which I call it, and creating a little space between ourselves and emotion. And the second, once we have that space, then we can see the emotions clearly, Like for example, in order to see a picture, you can't hold it too close to your eyes, otherwise you can't see it, right?
That makes
So
sense.
you have the distance. So create a gap first, and then you can see the emotions clearly. Once you see the emotions clearly, you can see how you're labeling it. You can see how you're exaggerating it. You can see how it's like, how your mind is confused around it. And so you can let go of all that, confused parts and bring back the power of the energy of the emotion, So this is 3-step process: mindful gap, clear seeing, and letting go.
Beautiful. And I want to dive into each one briefly, particularly getting to the energy, because I think it's cool, because if you can shift it, I call it surfing the wave. You can actually take that negative, in quotes, emotion and use it constructively. So first, how do we mind the gap?
How do you mind the gap? Is you feel the emotions first. You should feel the emotions when they're rising, and then hold it right there.
So if we're getting angry, instead of pushing the anger away, we should feel that.
Yes, instead of ignoring or pushing it down, or letting it out right away and scream and yell at your partner or a stranger, we should see that. We should see, okay, anger is coming up again. I can feel this. So feel the anger and just hold it there. And then look. And then you can see, that's kind of space there. You can create the space.
So that takes some training, because it requires the P word in there that you talk about in the book, patience.
That's right. That's right. I think the patience is really important in our time, this time especially, because we kind of promote the instant gratification so much in our modern culture. Everything is instant gratification. And that's creating so much suffering to ourselves, by looking for instant gratification, because some things are naturally not instant, right? If you're growing a fruit tree, you can't get it right away or tomorrow. You have to wait a few months or sometimes years.
Or if you dig it up every day and go check out the seed.
That's right.
So when we pause, how do we practice, first off, pausing, so that this becomes a regular practice of, as the emotions well up, I am not the emotions, I can step back so that then I can take that clear seeing or getting that vision.
Right. How do you do that? For from my experience, it's the meditation, right? It's the meditation that is really helpful at the beginning. At the beginning, when you have so much emotions and so much suffering related with our emotions, if you do, it's good to sit a little bit. You can go out and sit in a park, on a park bench, or you can sit at home or whatever. Give little time to yourself. Have this kind of like what we call quality time, right? Quality time with your own mind and emotions, and sit with our mind a little bit and observe it. Observe your mind. What's your mind doing? Instead of focusing outside and see what's he doing or what's she doing or what the world is doing, but observe your own mind and see what your own mind is doing.
This makes sense, and also it sounds like putting money in the bank. You get a bank account of patience by taking time with yourself, so that when the emotions come up, you actually have something in the bank account you can withdraw, like to put into a parking meter to allow you to have patience for a minute. I'm going to sit here. I put the money in the meter.
That's correct. Yes, that's correct. You just sit there and relax. The key is relaxation. A lot of times when we think about meditation, it's kind of like focus, focus, focus. Be mindful, be mindful, be mindful. You hear that a lot. But that's not really the whole thing. That's part of the meditation journey, or the practice of working with your mind. But the key element here is relaxation. That's the ancient wisdom here from the Buddhist teachings. Relaxation is the key.
From a meditation perspective then, since mindfulness is thrown around so much today,
Exactly.
And mindfulness is really a state, correct me if I'm wrong, of heightened awareness, but not necessarily a relaxation technique.
Yeah, there's different views on how the mindfulness is presented, and sometimes it can actually become very like tunnel vision, so focused and so heightened, and that it makes you even a little bit stiff.
Yeah.
And but on the other hand, the meaning of mindfulness is, of course, you have to have some sense of focused awareness. At the same time, the key point here is remembering to relax. When you're feeling this whole, different thoughts coming up, or you're feeling so much emotions, remember to relax first. Feel it and then relax. Hold it and then relax. And look and relax.
How important is the breath at that point?
Oh, that's the crucial, most important thing. Especially if you take a deeper breath and, relax. That really helps.
So what is, if we go to getting the big picture, what is clear seeing?
Clear seeing is at some point, I think, then we will be able to see the whole landscape of your emotions, right? You can not only see what's happening there right now, but the whole environment around it. And I always think of clear seeing as looking at these, some of our old European paintings, where you have these landscapes you can see so far, like little hills and the trees and, maybe a little barn there and cows, and all the way back you can see the clouds and, it's like that. And then you can see the whole landscape and how this land is.
Yeah.
So you can see your mind and your emotions landscape, and where you are, when you're walking in that landscape.
That makes sense. So as we're looking at that, we're getting an idea of our landscape. How do we begin to take our emotions and see them or transform them into more of the creative energy they can be, or they are?
Actually, emotions by nature are not negative, we make them, or we are very skilled in turning them into something negative and painful, because of our, this negative thinking. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of studies now from the universities also show that, we are more prone to think about negative thoughts than thinking about anything positive.
Is it also labeling? We label that
Yes.
rather than say, hey, this is anger that's trying to protect me. This is a good thing. This is a bad thing because I'm having anger. Bad Michael.
Exactly. Labeling is one thing, and then the second thing is the negative side. Negative side of our thought pattern, and so emotions by nature is actually nothing but field of energy.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much energy when you feel angry, and you can feel it's like going through your body, like lightning or something. There's so much power there. You can feel the energy. It's like, I say it's like when you have a power strip. Is it? I don't know what you call it. Power strip?
Sure, power strip where you got multiple outlets on it. You can
Oh
plug
no,
in different things, or
no. I'm thinking more like the wire. That the electric.
so just a power cord.
Yeah, the power cord. Like in the street or under the ground. That
Power
cord.
line. Power
The
line.
power line.
There
Yes.
we go.
Thank you. Yeah, in Seattle it's outside. On the streets.
Yep.
So when you look at the power line, right, there's a current going through that power line all the time. It's there. The power is there, And if you feel the cover, that's wrapping around that power, and then touch it,
Not your best day.
then you become thoughtless.
You may even get reincarnated.
Exactly. And so the power is there, and sometimes we don't know how to use it, how to use this power.
I love that analogy because the power can be for anything. That power can be to light your home, something tremendously positive, or the reverse. And so you wouldn't label and go, bad power.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying, if the emotions taken as medicine, like the power, we use it to light up, and we can use it now for the Skype and everything, And if you misuse it, it can actually kill you. It can destroy a lot of things.
So how do we, so we're stepping back, we're looking at it, we're observing it, we're not labeling it. What else do we do with this power? Yeah, exactly.
Yes. If you look at that power, if you develop a skill or a way for yourself to connect with that power and look at that power, so to speak, feel that power, feel that energy, and sit there with that instead of making it into something else, and that power can actually free you from the emotions, from the negative kind of like emotions, when we call negative. It can actually free you from the negative thoughts and emotions, and it can actually bring you the absolute joy that you're looking for.
Does that emotion, do all emotions have a creative component to them?
Oh, yes. What I understand here is that all our creativity actually comes from the emotional energy, emotional power. And these creativities not necessarily come from the negative side, or not necessarily come from positive side. All of these things are labels, right? So where it's really coming from is this, basic current or the basic power that's running through, that's in the nature. So that energy field has so much potential for creativity, for freedom, for enlightenment, everything,
I'm thinking of a mentor of mine many years ago who used to tell me that if I was upset before writing, or I was upset before a photography shoot, that was creative angst. That was the energy of creativity at play. And until speaking to you now, I didn't fully get that what that is I'm just tapping into the current. And if I understand, like now if I got nervous before a show, I just call it surfing the wave.
Right. That's right.
And that's natural then.
Oh yes, yes. Whenever we experience something like anger, and these are all labels we're using, and we have to use it. Otherwise, we don't know how to talk to each other, right? So let's say when you feel upset, you feel angry,
Yep.
you feel passion, you feel jealousy. All of these things are like the way to tap into that energy, right? To connect with that energy. You need some ways to connect, right? So all of these are actually bringing up this energy to the surface, so to speak. So when the energy comes to the surface, how we interpret is we usually interpret with thoughts and pattern. And so when we interpret with thoughts and pattern, we actually lose the energy itself.
So how should's kind of a dangerous word, but talk to me about thoughts and feelings and how they interact, because we really blur those, don't we?
Like, for example, when this energy comes up, right? Do you ever feel that, some emotions coming or arising, but you're not quite sure what it is?
Oh, absolutely. And one of the questions I even ask is, who owns this?
At moments like, I feel some emotions, but we don't know exactly what it is, It's anger, it's jealousy, it's passion, or it's like mixed of two,
Yep.
or what have you. And so the emotions are coming up. And when you feel that emotion, the energy, and we don't know what it is, and our thoughts are spinning and spinning and spinning and looking around to label it. What is it? What is it? And usually, of course, it goes to the negative realm of thoughts. And then our pattern is to freak out, then start to freak out. What is it, and oh yeah, it's negative, it's anger, it's jealousy, no, it's both. Or maybe it's he, she, because of he and because of she and so forth. And so you can see how the labeling thought is spinning. So I always say our labeling thoughts or the discursive thoughts, it is like a spin doctor. They know how to spin the story. The actual story may be like nothing or very simple.
We need to fire the spin doctor and get a new one.
Exactly. It usually it's a negative spin. Sometimes positive spin, of course,
Yeah.
but most of the time it's a negative spin. And then we have 24-hour news echoing in our own head of this negative spin from our thoughts. And actually, the original moment of emotion is actually very enlightening and it's freeing, it's positive. But the spin of our thoughts make us suffer for the whole day.
So how do we do, it's a term you have in the book, how do we do a thought inspection?
Thought inspection.
We got the thought police.
Well, for thought police, what we call mindfulness now. It's very important. It's traditional also. It's called excuse me, watchfulness.
Yeah.
Watchfulness or heedfulness, and so it's a skill you learn about how we can be mindful of our own thoughts. And for that, actually, one of the good exercises I feel is when you have a thought about something, don't say it all the time. We always say our thoughts, like blah, 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 right? We always like to talk. And when you have a thought about something, pause for a moment, Just develop that kind of habit. Just pause for a moment, and naturally you will see the thought, when you pause for a moment. And then you have a chance to edit it.
I love it. So going from there, how did you develop rapport with a poisonous snake?
Oh yes, poisonous snake is human emotions.
Well, literally, your teacher gave you a poisonous snake.
Oh, I see. Yes. That's right. One of my teachers, gave me a gift of a little poisonous snake. I mean, she didn't have a poison; they have taken out the the venom. But she tried to bite me many times at the beginning, and so I got this gift, and he asked me to take care, and I didn't know what to do with it, and my whole family is freaking out because I brought in the snake. I brought home the snake, and so I developed actually a relationship with the snake. She was beautiful, green with flowers on the back. Uh, and so at some point she recognizes me. And when I put my hand in, when I put my hand inside of her home, so to speak,
Yeah.
she recognizes my hand, and she's gentle. She didn't try to bite me, and then we became actually pretty good friends.
And so this is
It
now
took
we can kind of take it as an analogy of working with emotions.
For me, it was. For me, it was. It's like, the Buddhist teachings always say, give the example of a poisonous snake as an example for, negative thoughts or emotions. And I literally had one
I love that your teacher gave that.
as a gift. And so it was really, I mean, I'm lucky. I'm lucky that, I have had this opportunity to make connection with such a beautiful being, actually. It's really scary at the beginning, and we all have this kind of like label saying, oh, it's a poisonous snake, it's a poisonous snake. But when you develop the connection with this being, it's a beautiful being. It's a beautiful being. It's not at all scary, and not at all like really someone who wants to attack you and kill you. And actually, sometimes I feel that my snake friend is same as any other human being. It's so beautiful, if not better.
Wow. So from there, this kind of goes along that lines is how do we develop pure love toward others? Simple question.
Pure love towards others. I think it begins with developing love or kindness towards oneself. Not to be too harsh on ourselves. Not to be too how do you say, like too demanding. And
Critical.
We are too critical. Develop some sense of relaxation and space and love, and then I think you can bring that towards others. It's pretty simple, but bringing love to others is it's natural in our human heart. It's there, but we need to actually kind of bring it up and nourish that heart. But it's there as a seed. It's there in the heart of all sentient beings, and especially human beings.
You have something in your book called the 24 Hours of Kindness Experiment. What is that?
24 hours of kindness experiment. For myself, let's say, for myself, I try to see, set this kind of like reminders, and also set this kind of goal for myself and say like, see what I can do in 24 hours, And my practice for that is trying to remember my kindness practice today, in the whole day.
What does that mean? What is your kindness? Let's say, what's your kindness practice for today? If you were doing this.
If I'm doing this, let's say, don't shout at anyone, and be kind to a stranger, a friend, an enemy, if, whatever you can, and try to give something today. At least give something, like a coffee or a donut. Or something. as a gesture of your practice of kind heart or compassion.
While emotions aren't good or bad necessarily, how about positivity?
Positivity, I think it's good. I think
All
it's
right.
I think it's good for us, because our mind is so so negative in general, like focusing so much on negativity.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we can focus on positivity, it's good. It's good for now. But if we get too attached to positivity, that creates another whole layer of suffering and whole layer of confusion. And when we get so attached to positivity, then it becomes such a strong Puritan view. That brings so much pain and so much confusion. And so much.
I'm going to be positive no matter what.
Oh, that's a good thought. And recent studies in the university shows that you need 3 positive thoughts to balance with 1 negative thought. Only to balance, not even transform or let go. Only to balance, you need 3 positive thoughts for 1 negative thought.
Our minds are so funny and so. I understand it's the amygdala, it's the quote unquote lizard like brain. We go scanning for danger. But what a wiggly worm, isn't it?
Right. Like a lot of people now saying that, I mean, like people realizing that, our news, our society is focused on negativity too much. And we need to have more positive news, and we need to have more positive discussions with each other. I saw even like, Bill Gates talking about it. He's saying there's not enough positive news, And there's so many positive things happening, but nobody wants to talk about it.
They just follow the sirens.
Exactly. Like for example, like when we had the Ebola outbreak, it's good to report, to raise awareness, and like to really, we all support that, whatever we can. But then when it's like gone, you didn't really hear that much, like how they have controlled the Ebola, and now like many African countries are free of Ebola, and we don't know. They don't talk about it. Maybe they reported for like 10 minutes, and that's it.
I think I saw something pop up yesterday saying something new, even worse than Ebola. It's kind of like you almost have them saying new and improved Ebola. What? So a few more questions, then we'll dive into a little bit of wrap up, and then love it if you can lead us in a guided meditation.
Okay.
How do we turn our emotions from enemies into our friends?
Emotions, sometimes we see them as our enemy. Like when you see somebody's anger coming to you, or when you have rushing anger towards someone, we see that as an enemy, and we want to get rid of it. But actually, if you look at that, we need others' aggression in terms of practicing patience, or in terms of seeing how we can work with our mind, how strong our mind is.
Welcome, right? Teacher, you say.
It's like our, what do you call that? I don't know what's the term. Like it's like the meter, to test.
Okay, a gauge, some
gauge,
sort of a gauge.
Yeah, it's like some sort of a gauge for our mind, right? You can see like how our mind is like unstable or this way or that way. And so it's really a friend for us. It really helps us to see ourselves more than, having anger, bringing, negative pain or suffering. And so it can really be your friend, Because of anger, sometimes we search for some truth. We look for something else, and then we find something that we would never have found if we hadn't gone through that pain of somebody's aggression or what have you. We find a greater freedom through this, and we find a greater sense of wakefulness. And so, anger can really, emotions or negative thoughts can really be. We can turn them into our friend. And if you know how to use them, right? If you don't know how to use them, then they can overwhelm us. They can overcome us, and they can like become the real source of confusion, suffering, and pain, and going deeper and deeper and deeper into our pain. And so they can really, take you down.
But I like the, rather than them taking us down, if you can, I don't know if you really want to invite in anger. Come on in, anger. Come join me. I'm going to put my arm around you. But what you're saying, in essence, is you are my teacher, and I'm going to learn from you, and I'm going to be liberated because of this. And it may suck, it may hurt, it may be terrible, but I'm just not going to label it because I don't want the Empire State Building of postage stamps.
Exactly. You don't need to necessarily invite them because they will come. We have a lot of them, right? We have lots of emotions coming towards us, and we also have towards the other people. And so these emotions are there, and when they come, take advantage of them. Make the best use of them and recycle them. We can recycle them into something positive, something useful. As you said earlier, we can learn from them. They are like our teachers.
So what do we do with difficult people? What's a positive thing we can do with difficult people?
I know. I was thinking of something bad. What to do with difficult people? That's difficult.
Good answer.
No, I'm just kidding. Actually, sometimes difficult people are not really, not that bad as we usually think, And when you think about something being really, really, really difficult, it gets difficult,
That makes sense.
If you change your attitude towards that, if you change your attitude towards that, it's actually, it becomes lighter, it becomes easier, Even though the difficult person will not disappear, a difficult part will not disappear, but that difficult part becomes much lighter, much easier, I'll tell you one interesting experience I had. Like one year I went back to Nepal, and I was I was staying at a guest house near the monastery, and they were blowing these like Tibetan horns, like 4 o'clock in the morning from the roof.
Wow.
And like, wow, it's like, very loud. And I woke up and I was thinking, like I looked at my clock and said, what are they doing? Like 4 o'clock, Then my mind was getting irritated, like, oh, I can't sleep, why? Oh, blah, 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 And then I couldn't sleep. So I had to get up, like, because they keep doing that until 6 or 7 or whatever. And so I just got up. And the next day, same thing, they're blowing the horn at 4 o'clock. And then I thought, okay, I have to change my attitude, So I said, okay, let's think of this as a Tibetan jazz. It's trumpet. Tibetan jazz music. And so I just listened to it and I did some a meditation, and I just fell back into sleep. And so, and also same thing, with some difficult people, if we change the attitude, it really helped me, yeah.
That's beautiful. And along those lines, you talk about an interesting concept, which is, I think we can all benefit from, not really with the horns, but with a person one-on-one, less defensiveness. Dropping our guard down a little bit so there's less, it kind of diffuses the tension.
That's right. That's another exercise, so to speak. Another place to pay attention to. Usually, like, our mind is in such a state that we feel like we have to guard ourselves all the time, like we have to defend ourselves all the time. And so that actually creates another layer of confusion between human beings and one being to another, and that actually creates a lot of suffering in relationships. at work, at business deals, what have you, everywhere, and that creates a lot of problem. There's a certain sense of of course, guarding yourself is necessary, but don't need to go to that degree of it's like wearing a bulletproof vest when you go to talk to your partner or something.
Yeah, that would make them a little bit nervous. Particularly if they had the helmet on too.
Right. If you go to your date with that, like sometimes you're like that, right? Conceptually, you're wearing your bulletproof vest, you're wearing the helmet, and you're driving the Hummer, and then people freak out because you're so like. But sometimes we don't see that ourselves. That we are doing that.
That's interesting. It makes us think that we do that with ourselves. We put on the armor against ourselves.
That happens too, unfortunately.
So, what advice would you give to parents today to help their kids with their emotions or to start to understand some of these concepts at an early age?
I was thinking about that some time ago. Like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? And I realized that it's not. Sometimes it's not about what I have to do, what I should do with my daughter, but it's about what I should not do. That's what I realize from my contemplation. Sometimes we think, I have to, almost like we feel like baby is like a Play-Doh, and you have to shape it in a way, grow them up in certain shape, and you have to make that. So in that approach, then you have to do a lot, But they have their own, I think, wisdom and compassion, and they have their own potential there. I can see that. And so I realized, it's more about what I shouldn't do, actually. And I shouldn't repeat things that has not been helpful for me as a young child or young adult growing up, what's not been beneficial, what's been like a bad influence, or what's been like a bad from not only from parents, but from friends, from the environment. I can think about what's been like bad, what's affecting me now, my own mind stream, emotionally. And so to see that, what's what has been bad influence or negative, that's what I was thinking, like I should not do.
Yeah. It makes me curious. You've done a lot of meditating, a lot of training, and yet you're still flesh and bone like everyone else.
Of course.
What are the biggest challenges in your practice now, if you don't mind me asking?
Biggest challenge. Not much challenges, so to speak, but challenge. Not really much challenge, but of course, there's always this habitual pattern that comes up, right? So I'm still working on that, and maybe that's the biggest challenge, actually, to overcome some of the patterns, habitual patterns. The way, like your anger kicks in, or the way your thoughts naturally go towards negative. Those things come up, of course, and it gets easier as you meditate or as you work with them, but still.
It's funny. I took a trip into New York. I think it was last week. Visit a beautiful rabbi friend of mine. I was really excited about it.
Oh, wonderful.
And here I am. I meditate all the time, positivity, bliss, all this good stuff. and I get to a toll booth, and I've got up a what do you call, smart thing that you put up so it reads on the toll booth.
Yeah, easy pass.
Yeah, I got up an Easy Pass. You can see how I don't drive into the city much.
Right.
I've got up the Easy Pass, and I get in there, and I'm crawling into the thing, and the light won't go green on me. And a guy behind me in a giant white Escalade lays on his horn and starts just, and finally I go through, and I'm angry. I am ripping mad, and for a moment I'm angry with this guy, and then I didn't get angry with myself, but I flipped it, and I go, wow, you have some work to do, Michael.
Exactly. Yes.
So,
You know, it's that's the difficult part, actually. You know, like, you know, when we have a theory about working with mind, emotions, and we do that, you know, in our meditation, and everything, you know, sometimes everything goes okay, and it's wonderful, but then, like, when you really face a challenging situation, you know, that's when you know, we can. That's what I was talking about, the gauge. It's like the gauge, and then you can see, like, oh, I need a little more work on this. You know,
I do.
or that, you know, I need this and that. So when you see that, and you're already liberated.
Woohoo! So from there, just a few quick wrap-up questions, and then a little meditation. What personally brings you the greatest happiness, or what I call the woohoo factor?
For me,
Yes.
good coffee. For me, it's a good coffee, and always good coffee. Like, yeah. And no, I'm just kidding. What really brings that to me is actually interesting, because for me, it's some of my experiences. You know, some of my experiences of being with my teacher, my friend. That gives me the greatest joy, actually. Like the moments, you know, I had with them, and what we did, and I still go and see my teacher in Nepal, and when I'm with him, that gives me a lot of joy. And then, of course, you know, it's very joyful to be with my daughter.
Yay.
Yes,
How old is she?
19 months.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, got a lot of work to do there.
I was just going to say. Or she's got a lot of work to do on you.
Actually, it's doing pretty good.
Very good. So where can people go to find out more, and find out more about you and your books?
Emotionalrescue.info. I think that will have most complete information on my, this book, Emotional Rescue. You can find it there, or I think that's the best place.
Beautiful, beautiful. And any last words of wisdom you have for people?
Relax. Relax and enjoy. Enjoy your mind. Enjoy your world. Be kind. Life is like beautiful. It's beautiful, but it's also fleeting every moment. So I think it's important to make the best of this moment as you can. Even if it's like really a really painful moment of emotion, of negative thoughts or anything, but make the best of this moment. That's the way you can enjoy life.
I love it, and it makes me think, when I look back at some of the roughest, toughest moments in my life, it's funny how much better they get over time.
That's right.
So, well, thank you so much. Thank you for being on the show. Would you have a short guided meditation you wouldn't mind leading us in?
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
It's important to relax your mind first. Kind of like, relaxing with the breath. When you breathe in, you relax. When you breathe out, you focus on the breath. Just to bring your mind to the present. Focus on the out breath. This will also help us to develop more mindfulness. So focus on the out breath and relax when you breathe in. Relax in a way that we let go of all these negativities, thoughts, emotions. Just let go and relax. And focus on the breath. And when emotional thought comes up, notice it's coming, and notice it's arising, and then let go and come back to breathing and relax. And when the thought of emotion comes up again and strong, feel it. And let go. When emotional thought comes up, look directly at its experience and relax. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been beautiful and a true honor, Rinpoche. This has been beautiful.
Thank you, Micah. Thank you. I've seen your website and it's really wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
For everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get an emotional rescue, and make friends with your emotions, and shine bright. Woohoo!
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also leave your comments, have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!